What's up, bro?
Not a man.
Episode 7, man.
So, fun fact, I went to the liquor store at like 9:30 this morning?
Yeah.
It's an interesting crowd at the liquor store at 9:30 in the morning.
You don't often go to the liquor store at 9:30?
I mean, I kind of looked like I did with what I was wearing because it was 9:30. I just dropped the kids off, but like, I'm buying like some nice alcohol behind the guy buying the, half liter of Skol, not Stoli. What's the like plastic bottle?
Stoli. Everclear?
No, like vodka. Like I'm thinking like Vladdy, but like Vladdy they don't sell in the small like bottles. So,
hey, cheers, bro.
Cheers, man. This is the good stuff, though.
So, as Simon mentioned in episode 7, we have a special guest. But before we introduce them, tell me about your week, man. How has it been?
Surprisingly good. I'm still so behind on my wedding edits. Hopefully, you know what? This is great. By the time this episode drops, I better be done all of them, or everyone who's watching this that is waiting for edits for me is going to be like, seriously, bro? So
yeah, they're going to be on your ass.
I'm not late on anything yet, but it's like pushing up to that, which is stressing me out. Yeah, and it's that. But this week has been pretty good as far as like stress levels go and all that. So
nice.
We've been good. What about you?
Oof, it's been good, bro. I'm all caught up on weddings. I do have a wedding coming up this week, though. I'm very excited for. It's at Osteria. Osteria, yes.
Have you shot there before?
I have not, but I've eaten there many times.
Is the whole thing there or just the reception?
So what's cool about it is the dinner portion is there, and then they're going to have the reception at Love City Brewery.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
It's different, and I love that.
What time of day is the dinner thing before?
Before sunset.
Before sunset.
Yeah. So it's gonna look nice.
So that area that's like windowed,
exactly.
Like the light in there is so nice.
It's gonna be creamy.
It's just a little hard to shoot because of how it's like it's basically set up like the equivalent of 2 long tables, and there's like a middle aisle. And generally they put like a sweetheart's table sort of at the end, depending on
so you have shot there?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I've shot there twice, but I've done like the whole reception there and not the other stuff. So this should be cool.
Honestly, I don't want to shoot any flash in there at all. I want to keep it as ambient as possible.
At that time of day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to have a dinner for like 2 hours. So it's going to go into like past sunset.
That's awesome.
So I guess to introduce the guests.
I think you should do the intro. I think you need to do like a rah-rah, like a hype up intro.
Okay. So today's guest is someone that
standing at 5'2", weighing in at a sleek 90 pounds.
No, but I think it's someone that I would say a lot of people in our industry revere to be what's a good word? Like, I won't say the GOAT, maybe the GOAT, but like,
I'll say this.
In her field.
I think when I learned sort of what that field was, like she was the first person I heard of like, oh, this, and this, like she did that. I was like, oh, okay. Right, awesome.
She's up there with those like celebrity planners, celebrity designers and stylists.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man.
She has her work,
accolades are amazing.
Her work speaks for itself. Right. And I was super stoked when she decided that she wanted to take the plunge and be the first guest. But without further ado,
ladies and gentlemen, welcome Meghan from House of Catherine.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going.
Thanks for joining us on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Meghan came on and we were like, okay, I'd let her know that we now have a bar. And you were like, oh, like dirty martini, which is like one of my favorite drinks.
Oh, no. She said extra dirty.
Extra dirty.
Yes.
Extra.
Yes.
Magda and I have been like really hard on dirty martinis recently.
Yeah.
And then we had those, and then you were like, I think I'm going to switch to whiskey. I'm like, me too.
Right. I was actually very impressed.
Yes.
I love that.
And then I'm going to blow up your spot. She also shared her love for Jameson.
And we all took a shot.
It should always be in front.
Thank you. I went against my better judgment, and you guys are 100% right. It should be up front.
And because I'm an Irish girl, Jameson is #1.
Irish, Jewish, the ish were like,
no, that doesn't work like that. No.
Blackish.
That doesn't work like that.
Irish-ish.
So, Meghan, we have a few questions for you.
So I'm aware.
Yeah. So today's just going to be about an open dialogue, open conversation.
Yes, I'm excited.
We're so curious to hear more about you, your business, things in the state of the wedding industry. So I guess the first question that Simon and I have for you is, what inspired you to start House of Catherine? And tell us about your journey.
Man, I feel like it's been ancient years. But I feel like
how long have you been doing this all?
Yeah. So I've been doing it for...
by the way, I'm the one that doesn't do the research. So I just actually ask questions.
Nobody in this industry does.
Right.
So I've I guess full time, like left corporate and did this full time, I would say it's been 8 years. It tells you like you're still a newbie, but I feel like I'm 60. Yeah.
How long did you, so leading up to like taking the plunge and being like, I'm going to do this. How long were you sort of dabbling in the idea? Or did you just say like, yep?
Well, I feel like a lot of people sound like this, especially women. I think when they're getting married, they decide, I'm going to do this or this or this, but I actually have a graphic design background. So I'm an art school nerd and
jealous, yeah.
Art my whole life, literally since 2nd grade. So I feel like outside of college, my mother was like, you have to get a job. And you don't know, graphic design is any art major.
Yeah. It's very broad.
What are you going to do with it? So I actually worked for a transportation company for like 10 years, had a very successful career. When we were planning our wedding though, I met my husband there, and it was really just like going through invitations. And I was like, I hate everything I'm seeing right now. Yeah. I was like, I can do it better. And I did all of our stationery for our wedding, and it was great. It was fun. And then, just locally, people were like, can you do mine? Or can you do this? And it was really just organic how it kind of happened. Yeah. And then I was like, maybe I could actually do something with it. And I had this horrible name to start. It was not always House of Catherine.
Which we'll get into.
Yeah. So I was doing it and it was great. And then I started actually maybe, I would say a year in, I said, I'm going to start advertising with Philly Mag. And I met some really great people through Philly Mag. And actually I met some of my best friends to this day through networking.
Nice.
And they all know who they are through Philly Mag and networking events. And from there, it was really just planners were hiring me. I was just participating in so much stuff. And I was like, I can definitely do this. I know I can. The hustle was strong.
Especially, were you still doing?
I was still working.
Still working.
Yeah, I was still working, and they had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely no clue. Because I just wouldn't say anything because they don't need to know that. And my daughter was 3 months old at the time.
Oh, wow.
And I was convincing my husband, like literally crying and pleading, like, can I please like just quit and do this full time? I promise you I'll make money within 6 months. Like I promise you I will bring in money, because we cannot do this on just one income with 2 kids under 2.
You went and like decided to do this full time. You weren't like booked out.
No, absolutely not. I was in the hustle mode. Yeah. However, because I had a great job before and I was, I was in sales. So, sales, you have these great relationships with people. People depend on you to run their businesses because you're good at what you do. You have this energy with people they only want to work with. And we can kind of like talk about that later because I feel that way with my clients too. Like they want to work with who they could hang out with. Anyway, I was like, all right, I'm resigning. My husband said, okay. I was like, I'm going to ask for 3 months salary and my company car to quit. And I will sign a non-compete. And I didn't get the car, but I got a 3 month salary.
That's ballsy. I like that.
My husband was like, you're out of your mind. I'm like, I don't care.
What are they going to do? Say no? It's like, yeah.
And that's literally probably me in a nutshell though. Like you're out of your mind. I'm going to ask anyway. And there you go. They didn't know what I was doing. They thought I was going to go to some competitor in the same field because it's all like
Can you tell you're talking to someone who's never been in like a corporate situation? I'm like, they think you would leave to go to a competitive place? Yeah.
Tell all their secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steal all their clients.
It's so funny hearing that story because I feel like everyone who gets into the wedding industry, especially that is passionate about it and really truly enjoys it, gets into it in that same way.
Okay. So Meghan, can you tell us, because I feel as if there are a ton of people out there that want to quit their job, that want to get into some type of industry. Maybe it's weddings, maybe it's something else. But since you kind of went and quit your job and said, you know what, I'm going into this full time, what's some pieces of advice you would offer to someone that wants to take that leap? Yeah.
And I don't recommend maybe taking a leap unless you really feel comfortable, because I don't want to be responsible for anyone, like their life totally going into shambles. But I think for me, I really set myself up with a great network, and it was like a network that could lift you up. And I think we're actually all still there for each other to this day, 8 years later. And so many of us have different roles, different jobs, different places to work, but also in the same industry, also networking and advertising isn't terrible when you're first starting. But I know that it can be very expensive, but you get invited to all these events and things that really bring people together to meet those who are in your network, those who are in your industry, and hey, let's do a styled shoot together and we'll put each other on the map. We're going to build each other up,
Well, we know how Simon feels about styled shoots.
Yeah.
Don't take that out of context. Don't take that out of
We
context.
all know
I,
how you feel.
I love styled shoots. If you're not using them, you're using them incorrectly as a photographer.
Yeah.
For everyone else in the industry, they're fucking great. Drinking my whiskey.
Style shoots, not anymore. Listen, but they're great for when you're starting out.
Exactly.
But just be cognizant of that it's not real, and to appreciate the time that these vendors are putting into this with you to build you up. Because most of the style shoots I did were with people who were seasoned. I mean, Sue from Fresh Designs. I mean, we love Sue, but it's like, shit, I had no business working with Sue 8 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And she had already had a great platform. So it's really just putting yourself out there, honestly. It's like fake it till you make it. I still live by that motto. If you don't know it, pretend you do and figure it out. And that is where you build that confidence, because you can say, I can do this. Of course I can. Have I had, like back then, can you do a 300-person wedding? Of course I can.
I see what you're saying.
But fuck no, behind the scenes.
Right.
My husband hates me. Everybody hates me in my house. And like, I have like 3 printers going. And
I just had this conversation with someone about faking it till you make it on like really important things. And it's, you kind of have to sometimes.
You do. I'm not even kidding.
But you have to have confidence in yourself that you can do
that's
it.
the thing. You have to fake the confidence in yourself to like, it's like you're tricking yourself. And when I said earlier, you have that like 0 to 60, if I didn't have that in myself, I don't think I would have hustled as hard as I did. I don't think I would be where, I'm not even anywhere. I don't think I would have had all the experience I have as of this point. You know?
Do you have a moment? There's another podcast that is very popular right now, and they do a welcome to the NFL moment. It's like, oh, welcome. Do you have a moment that you can think of where all of a sudden I haven't even thought of what to call this yet, but like a moment where you go, oh, I'm doing this.
Oh shit.
I'm doing this. This is awesome.
Like, Mom, I made it, or I'm doing it.
Do you have
Right in between.
Yeah. Like, do you have I'm doing this, and then I've arrived, you know?
I try to keep as much humility as possible. Also, because I severely critique myself after every event, and I think we all do. But I think when I started getting found maybe by mildly like famous people or someone, or when I got to do like a basketball player's event, and then you get to become like friends with them. And it's just like all different levels, I think. Or I executed a 90-person vendor event, and it was 400 people, and I executed
90 vendors.
90 vendors.
What was the event for?
90 people that encompassed all of those.
Right,
That's
yeah.
still a lot of people to manage. You're managing all of them. Then you got to manage all the guests as well.
Plus your team.
And my team. Yeah. So I think those are great moments. But full honesty, I never define that moment because I feel like it's still yet to come.
I feel like the next big thing I do is going to be that moment. And then you do something bigger and you go, that's cool and all, but like,
But I feel like that's good though to always have that.
no,
thing.
I think that's really, really good.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that, I don't know where I was going with that. So
Okay, I got
it.
I think you could like... Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have a questionnaire for guests. You and Simon should not
Be on the
start the
same-
conversation.
I'm never being invited ever again.
No.
No, we're going to do one where we set up one camera and just roll it for 2 hours. I know. Oh my God.
Okay, so Meghan, I think the people want to know, because I'm not going to lie. When I first discovered your Instagram, I swore your name was Catherine. Because at the time, it didn't say Meghan.
Yeah, I could see that.
So how did you come up with the name House of Catherine? And do people call you Catherine all the time? Because I feel like they probably do.
So really, my name of prior was MTP Designs, which is fucking terrible. So I was like, I'm not signing off
Hey
on
man,
this.
we started off as SJDC photography.
It's all fucking initial. I was like, well, I want to create something if I'm really going to put myself out there, because I was signing on with Philly Mag, and I was like, I can't have this name. I'm doing this. So I rebranded myself, and I was like, all right, Catherine is my great-grandmother, both my great-grandmother's names. And
Nice.
I was very close with them, particularly one of them. And it was like, she was like my grandmother, honestly. I was with her all the time. I don't think many people have that kind of opportunity to spend that kind of time with their great-grandparents. So, and she's just a fabulous lady. She wore makeup and jewelry every day. She was just your total, like, typical, like, 50s wife, you know, and lived that way until she died.
Would she wear it around the house?
Oh, absolutely. You did not.
My grandmother
You didn't
My
see.
grandmother
She doesn't.
was that when she was still living. She was that, but she was silk pajamas. So she
Yeah.
didn't dress up, but she jewelry, makeup, hair done, silk pajamas. I
Yeah,
loved it.
she did
was
wear
always
she
ready.
did wear tennis shoes, and she would throw one at me occasionally. But literally, that's like a big joke in my family. She was fabulous, and she got a perm in her hair, and I would pick her hair, and like it was great. But she was just such a wonderful, obviously a lasting impression in my life. That what like a great ode to her, because I want my brand to represent that it never goes unpolished, or your event or anything that happens that I create for you. So it's always going to be executed, well executed, you know, and that's how she probably wanted to appear as a housewife and stuff. And
Do you have a tagline like House of Catherine?
no tagline.
You know?
I mean, I wish, but I
House of Catherine. That's not my name.
Okay, I'm going to steal that. So anyway, then House of is just based on all the designers that I've ever loved, like Chanel, Dior. They all started with a brick and mortar of
Dior,
like House
yeah.
of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what better way to make it more broad and expansive than just because I was paper at the time, like stationery.
Yeah.
But I knew in my heart, I was like, this is not going to stay this way. I didn't know what it was going to turn into, but I just knew it was going to be something different later.
So wait, at what point did House of Catherine turn into this luxury brand? Because, you know, when you first started, you weren't luxury, right? At what point did it transition into a luxury brand?
I mean, you're very kind for saying that we are a luxury brand. I feel like it was very organic. I feel that when people could see that we could design an event and curate it and direct it well and thorough, and it was flawless, that people kind of like, oh, okay. But I think it took a lot of time. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of like convincing myself and others. But I was going from stationery to, you know, I want to create some cool signage. Then I was like, the signage at the events fucking suck. So like, what are we doing? So I was like, I would say to clients like that would hire me later, why don't you let me just try doing the event branding and I'll do some design for you for the event. And I would do it for free just to get those photos, not styled shoots.
Well, no. So we actually talked about this really quick in the last episode where you know, the whole thing is never work for free. And I said,
Yeah.
I disagree with that. I very much disagree with that.
Absolutely. Like if there's something that you want to, the best way to do it is with your current clients. You know, what are they going to do? Say no?
Yeah.
Again,
Good point.
Here's this thing I'm giving you for free.
Yeah.
It might be cool. It might not, but it's free.
And then it's a different connection that you have with your client. And then with event design, then I started event designing. People started noticing that I was doing that for events, and then planners were going to find me. And that's where you started to level up a little bit, because it takes at least a nice budget. And I'm not saying a significant budget, but to get rentals and stuff, like, you know, at least have to have something to spend. And to hire me.
Yeah.
At that time, though, it probably wasn't as much as it is now. But I think for that time, that's where I was like, I really hate most of them. I love a lot of them. I think that it was, then I was like, I'm doing all this work up until this point, and then I'm having to hand it off to someone who's a 3-month or a 1-month planner who knows nothing about what is going on.
Right.
And now I have to school them, and then they're a horrible communicator between us and vendors. I'm like, I can do this on my own. Like, just back off.
Have you noticed this whole sect now of, I'm going to say something ratchet right now. I have no problem with hired day of coordinators, but I've noticed recently there's a group of, I shouldn't say a group. There are a bunch of people who are hired as day of coordinators and are trying to be wedding planners. And it generally, at least from my perspective, makes my job way harder because they don't necessarily have the experience
or the grasp from the whole event is the whole.
Right. And you know, I'll get sent timelines that I'm just sort of like, that's not how this works kind of thing.
I guess a good question for you too is, I feel like if people look just at your Instagram, they might think you're just like a stylist or
you think so?
Designer. At least that's what
You're giving her a complex right now, dude.
If you don't, wait, did you read my bio?
But that's the thing. Like, if I'm just
how am I supposed to?
No. But like, people know that you're an actual wedding planner.
You're smart.
No, like to go off of Simon's point.
Yeah.
Because I feel like some couples might not know that.
Yeah, and it's actually, you know, it's funny. I'm on Terrain's preferred vendor list
Yeah.
as a florist, and I keep getting these fucking inquiries for like, I've got a budget of $2,000 and I want like 7 centerpieces and I'm like, why? I'm actually reading this right now. Like
You know what's funny? You just made me think of this too. Is that we take for granted that as photographers, when we get tagged on Instagram, it's pretty obvious what we do. Right?
Exactly.
But when you do what you do, and you just are on, let's say you're on Terrain's Instagram, and they posted one of your image of yours or
also,
something.
I love Terrain.
Yeah, we all
Yeah,
love Terrain.
we all love
like
Terrain.
fucking Sarah. Hey, hi. But yeah,
But like I can imagine seeing an image of your, I guess, offerings, product, whatever you want to call it. It may be something that you designed with the
as a
florist.
part
You're
of,
like, oh, this is a florist.
Terrain is actually a great florist.
Just gonna say,
Yeah.
I love their florals.
Yeah. But so anyway, but you literally have to go to my website, scroll down past where it says event planning and design, and to my inquiry form to fill that out to ask me for florals. So
I see what you're saying.
which is really funny.
It's like,
So I don't think a lot of people knew that I was planning for a little while. I kind of kept it hidden for a little while. You know, I had worked with so many planners in this industry for so long. And we say so long, we say like what, 7, at that time, what, like 6 measly years or something?
Yeah, I love that you said that earlier because we've been doing this for 9 now. And I'm like, it's been forever. And you said that. I'm like, yeah, I guess 9 years.
It's not. Long, it's like, it's the age of my kid.
And you feel young,
like,
Aunt. I love it.
And they're still young.
I never said you're young, by the way.
Thanks, asshole. Thanks. Yep.
So we started planning probably, I would say 3 or 4 years ago, but we kept
that recently.
We kept it under wraps for like 2 of those years because I didn't feel I was going to do my planner friends justice, that I was just going to all of a sudden announce that I was planning, and I had no business announcing that I was planning, but I was going to try it out, and I was going to really work out what I need to learn to be a good planner. Okay.
Were you afraid that you were going to make enemies?
Well, I mean, yeah, most of my best friends are all planners. And I really felt a lot of them would react in a way like I was becoming their competitor because now I can do all of these things. I can plan, I can design, and I create all of my own stationery and branding. But
shameless plug.
Shameless plug. But I think, I do think it really did hurt some of my relationships with some planners.
Okay. So Megan, I'm curious, are there like trends in the industry that you wish couples would absolutely stop doing? Or maybe trends that you wish they would do?
Yes. Stop picking a venue before you pick a fucking planner. That's what I would say. It literally goes a long way. I think because we know what venues cost and then what their like minimums are, everything, all of it. So your budget depends on your venue. So like we need to know what your budget is, and then because your venue will take up so much of that. Like, I mean, some venues would cost $90,000, some venues would cost $50,000, and that leaves your decor budget, in shambles or in good spirits. So
it's funny because Simon and I would probably say we wish couples would pick their venue before reaching out to
you guys.
That's like, and it's so weird because that's like a newer thing. It's sort of like, hey, we have a date but no venue. I'm like, then you don't have a date.
Right, you can't hire me.
Yeah.
Right.
But I also wish that you guys would suggest planners before they fucking hire you.
I do though. I do.
Hold on.
I do though.
We're gonna save this for a certain segment we have at the end of this particular podcast.
Are we?
Oh yeah.
I'm scared to answer right now. Don't be scared.
No, I want her to.
Don't be scared. Answer it.
What was the question?
There wasn't a question, but I think that I get more so that they hired the damn photographer before they hired me. And I'm like, where's the photographers in our fucking industry suggesting me as their fucking planner?
No.
Like, that's what I want.
No, wait, no, I'm only saying this because
I see you.
Well, no, I don't.
And I know that you didn't fucking suggest me.
I don't think we've ever had a couple who is like, we're gonna hire a planner, we just haven't done it yet. Because
Did you ask the question though?
we've never booked a couple that later were like, oh, you have a planner? I didn't know this. Because generally when we're
like also
we're getting the planners reaching out to us.
So do you think minimum like couples are spending $100,000 on their weddings?
Absolutely. I think people think that
That's not the case for us.
What are they spending with you? Like, what are their budgets?
On their budgets, at least for me, like I know my couples aren't spending on average $100,000 for their wedding.
You don't think they are?
On average, no, but
That's what I'm saying. But for her,
But
that's the
also,
case.
to be frank, that is the fucking average today. Whatever the knot says that it is, it's not, because it's literally, it's not, you cannot spend 20 grand on a wedding and say that like that's all in. It's not going to happen. Not even with 50 grand, not even with 70 grand. I'm sorry. If you want a solid 7 grand for a photographer, 7 grand for videographer, you want at least a range of 12 to 16 grand for your planner if you want one. And then all the entertainment and the venue itself, it fucking adds up.
I think that is a whole conversation in and of itself, because what happens is, you know, and I'm sure you've seen this a lot, is when you are not working with a planner that is helping you budget.
Right.
And I'm not saying not work with the planner, because
important.
there are plenty of planners that don't do this part or don't know how to do this part.
Money is everything.
Correct. Especially if you have a vision for your wedding. I've seen so many times where, you know, they are spending a lot of money on certain things and then skimping on others, but expecting their wedding to look or feel 100%. Or whatever, like the whole 9 yards. And like, I'm not knocking this at all, but you have to be, you need someone there to sort of explain to you like, hey, if you skimp on this cost, this is what it's going to look like.
Wait, insert. If you have a timid planner, I'm going to speak out to everybody, okay, right now. If you have a timid planner who is a yes man, or someone who's going to say yes to you all the time for your thoughts and feelings, because your feelings are not fucking warranted when it comes to a budget, okay? Do not hire a planner that is a yes man at all. You need someone who's going to put you in check, bring you back to reality. You know, like, this is what we're supposed to be spending, and this is what this is going to give you, right? That's it.
And, you know, someone who's looking at your overarching vision, right? If this is your vision for your wedding, you can't pay this much money for a photographer like that, or you can't pay this much money for any vendor.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not going to be the over.
That's not something Meghan would say, though.
Well,
right?
What, like for photographers?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, you can't spend this much, or you can?
No, like this, if you're trying to get this, you know, $4,000 for a 12-hour photographer, that's probably not going to be.
This is where I think my background comes into play, because I was once a vendor, just like both of you. Where
I'm not a vendor. I don't like that.
He's an elite guest.
Elite guest.
I like that though.
Okay.
Wait, it's funny that we have a shared
Hire
note.
me as your elite guest.
Hire me as your copywriter.
We have a shared note with like ideas for podcast episodes, and one of mine is, should photographers be considered vendors?
That's fine. We're not going to go off the rails. We're not going off the rails right now.
So this actually brings me to a point. So I recently had a client.
Why are you so much better at this than I am? I just talk, and you're like, oh, got this other thing I want to talk about.
He's a good conversationalist.
Just good, you know.
Continue.
So I had a client who recently inquired with my services and wanted one of my collections, but couldn't afford it fully.
Okay.
So instead, she kind of asked for discount. And I said, you know, unfortunately, I don't offer discounts, but instead, what we can do is we can offer you a 7-hour collection, and that would put you right into your budget.
Yep.
She says, you know what? I don't think I want that. I want.
Is this for the wedding or an engagement?
It's for a wedding.
Okay.
She says, I want an 8-hour collection with a free.
But also, if she had a planner.
Right. She has a planner though.
They can manage. They could manage that 7 hours perfectly, but it's fine. Go ahead.
Wait. You told me about this.
I told you about this.
Oh, this is good. Yeah.
She has a plan. She has a planner.
Who is it?
What he's leaving out is that the email correspondence was not like, oh, I'm very nice about it. It was it was a little.
It was more like, I fucking deserve this.
It was a little demanding.
It was very demanding, and it got to a point where she was asking for 8 hours.
Also, why is she doing talking if she has a planner?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Good, but keep going.
So she asked for 8 hours with a 10 by 10 album.
Okay.
Basically for free.
But also, who does albums anymore? We were talking about trends earlier, but like, who the fuck does albums anymore? I don't even know where the fuck my album is. I have no idea where the fuck. It's 12 years. Cheers, but I don't know where the fuck it is.
You know what it is?
It's under my bed. It's under my bed.
Couples do albums, I feel like, for their families, like for people to come by and
no one fucking does that. Go on my Facebook and go on my Facebook and look at my pictures of my wedding. Okay.
Let me finish.
And I'm going to disagree with Meghan in this head.
Good.
So she asked essentially for a free album, along with
which are expensive. Albums are expensive.
They're stupid expensive.
And you know, I believe truly in like customer service. So I told her, I said, you know what? Here's what we can do. I can offer you a 7-hour collection with a free 5x5 album. And I said, you know what, if that works for you, then I would love to, because the package was pretty expensive. And it was like close to
your
like
photos
$9,000.
your photos are fucking worth it. So don't even.
Right. And I said, you know what?
I agree. I love your photos.
Let's see if we can make that work. And she said, I even said it in the email. I said, I hope this works. Da, da, da. And then
I've got plenty of work for you.
She got so excited, or I'm sorry, I got so excited. I was like, yeah, I can't wait to work with you. She literally, in the next email, she says, hold on to that excitement because I still need to think about this offer. And then she responded with an additional email and said, I just want you to know that if you don't accept my original offer, you're going to be missing out on an amazing wedding with
I have to know who the planner is. I have to know who the planner is.
So one thing that kind of bothered me about all of this was they were a Black couple. Now, I feel like a lot of Black couples try to support Black-owned businesses.
Definitely.
So they try to hire Black photographers and planners.
Yeah.
And for her to come to me and ask me not only for a discount right off the bat.
Instead of support.
Exactly. Wasn't happy with what I offered her. Like I offered her 2 different solutions. And she still was not happy with it because she didn't get what she wanted.
Well, because she felt that she was deserving because of who she obviously had hired for her.
Exactly.
Clearly.
So I think, yeah, it was.
And it never should be that way.
Crazy.
It never should be that way. It should be the planner advocating for the client and also encouraging the vendor that they're trying to hire. Like, listen, let's do this together. Let's make it great. Let's elevate together. But they just can't meet. They can't go past $8,000 for their budget. That's it.
Right.
There's a different way to spin it in verbiage. And that's probably my sales part of myself coming out.
And the overarching thing with this is that, when either Megan and I for weddings or me for commercial work, my commercial work is more poignant to this because the way I charge for it is very much not the same for every client. It's who the client is.
You do commercial work? Like what? Like houses and stuff?
No. I do a lot of ECEs, bands. I do stuff for headshots, portraits.
Everyone's got a side. I need a side gig.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
I don't consider it a side gig. It's still photography.
Good.
But like, it's not as set in stone as our prices for weddings are, right? So it depends on who the client is. It depends on what I know their budget is. You know, if I'm doing, perfect example, this is totally selling myself out right now, but if I am shooting a band and the band is paying for it, there's a price. If the label is paying for it, there's a much different price. It all comes down to, what you said about customer service is that, what does it cost for you to leave the house to do this? I price myself for things that are not like our normal wedding things. It is literally how much money would it cost for me to get in my car, drive there, do the shoot, drive back, dump the photos, edit the photos. And sometimes those gigs are like, this will be so much fun. Yeah. And it's like, that price is going to be different.
I did this for free.
Yeah, and then, never mind. I'm just kidding. What? But then there's those gigs where it's just like, all right, honestly, this is what it would cost for me to leave the house. And they're like, cool, that's good. I was like, oh, all right, well, we're good.
Well, so they suck. And that should never happened. Yeah. And I'm sorry.
So when Ann and I were talking about having you on, we had been talking about when to discuss this topic. And I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. And we've mentioned this in a couple episodes now, and we aren't really sure how to address it in the sense that we don't know how to define it.
Hope you're ready, Megan.
This is scary.
What definition do you give to the luxury wedding market? Because it's such a, people are just like, oh, I'm a term. Yeah, I'm a luxury this, or this is a luxury that. Do you think is it a price point? Is it having a planner?
At what point do you determine your luxury?
It's a hard question.
Not even that you as yourself, like I'm a luxury, whatever, because I feel like publications use the term, photographers, everyone uses the term, and no one can be like, oh, well, this is the thing I did, that's why I'm luxury.
Well, I think any vendor can claim that they're luxury, 100%. Right? Yeah. But I think what makes someone luxury, or even to claim that they're luxury, is false. Like, I don't think it exists.
I agree. It's so hard to pinpoint it because it's like, well, if you're spending this much money on your wedding, it must be luxury. Well, I can tell you firsthand, we did a wedding last year for a very wealthy local family, and the amount of money they put in this wedding was ridiculous. But with the exception of like a couple aspects of it that I don't necessarily think were paid for, I don't know if I'd call that luxury.
So wait. After you shot this wedding though, did you consider yourself, okay, you know what? We have cemented ourselves into the luxury?
Like we made it.
No.
Is that we made it, Mark?
No?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's
where I relate earlier. It doesn't matter. It matters.
So at what point doesn't matter? Like what point do you be like, I know what?
That's what I'm getting. I don't think it does. I think when I see someone say, when they self-proclaim luxury, I immediately go,
No,
really?
anyone that's self-proclaiming anything, it's like they're talking in third person. They should just fucking walk in traffic. I can't even. Like,
So what is it then? You're waiting for a king or queen to knight you as luxury?
I think when you have finally felt that you have like dove into luxury market, it's about the detail. And I actually think a lot of the clients, I think a lot of the clients that I've hired for 2025 and 2026, and 2026 is crazy right now, but they are more in tune with what they want as far as detail-oriented items.
Yeah.
They want an experience for their guests. They want the weekend. They want the night before. They want the day after. But it could also only be for 90 guests.
True.
That's luxury in my opinion, because
this is the best definition I've heard.
Because you are defining what you want for your guests, because this is a feeling you want your guests to leave with. That is luxury.
So do you think then the term luxury is subjective?
For what?
In general, as a vendor.
I do, because I think it depends on where you're applying it, right?
Yeah.
I think that luxury obviously is in high-end designers. Okay, we know that.
Right.
But luxury is also in the feeling you get from a wedding or an event. And that is fucking untangible. Okay.
It's true.
You can't touch that. You can't touch a feeling someone has at an event. You're experiencing this thrilling happiness, right? That is luxury. That's luxury.
I think, real quick, I think that the things you touched on that hit home for me with luxury is guest experience and attention. Hospitality, but also like if the guests walk away feeling that untangible feeling of luxury, that's luxury.
You could have the most expensive chairs in the world in your room, but it was the most disconnected wedding in the whole world.
100%.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You can't connect that. Like it also takes the most amazing vendors to connect that as well.
So if we had like bullet points for this, I think that guest experience, connection, the untangibles, I think that's a great way to sum up luxury.
Yeah. It is.
Because we've been talking about this for a while. It's like,
because let's be honest, like what does luxury mean for those who actually have millions of dollars? I mean, I'm not saying that money doesn't buy you happiness, because it does.
Happiness, but great experiences.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like happiness in that moment. Sure.
Great. Love it. Yeah.
So, but those with money and they have these amazing experiences throughout their life, it's because they were able to have that happiness in that moment. That's all.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the money was able to get that for them. And I'm not saying that money is going to be that main objective. I'm just saying that it was the happiness in the moment. That's all.
So then, Meghan, do you think that if a couple wants to obtain like a luxury look to their wedding, could they still hire you? Like, could they still, because, actually, great example. I have a couple who wanted to work with you and they like explicitly told me that, but they're like, you know what? We most likely would not be able to.
They just assume they can't afford me.
They assume they can afford you, but can you kind of give some direction to that?
Absolutely. I think you don't know unless you ask, right? I mean, I feel like that's like the main question of this whole podcast today is ask the question.
Right.
Right? Just ask it. Just put yourself out there, whether you're a vendor or a client, potential client. I think people don't realize, I think my work looks like it's like $1 million or $500,000. And that's just me. Listen, that's not me saying it. I'm very proud of the work that we produce, but I think it was just the dollar amount of the wedding that it actually costs, right? But for me, I take more pride in having to be more resourceful and creative with the budget and making it look like a fucking $1 million than having $1 million to spend with fuck you money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And that's such it's such a good point. I don't mean to cut you off, but that's such a good point that I feel like I never get this question from couples is that instead of saying, here's our budget, oh, you don't have something in that price range.
No.
The question should be, here's our budget. What can you do with that budget?
So and basically, if someone said, "Hi, I have $20,000,"
well, that's not gonna happen. I'm sorry, but that's not.
But you're saying that.
Well, okay.
They should still reach out.
Okay,
what if they only have 20 grand to spend?
You've got 20 grand to spend. However, like, what's your guest count? Like, you're not going to.
Guest count is 80 people.
80 people for 20 grand.
Mm-hmm. And I want to have this House of Catherine look to my wedding.
But do you need a planner at that point if it's that much? And
yeah, I work full time. I have 3 kids, and I need someone to help me plan this wedding that sort of looks luxury, but for 80 people?
I think that there's a way to adhere the costs as far as like maybe hours spent and like maybe guidance, right?
Okay.
I think at that point it gets to there because at some point with the amount of time, and I love your question. It's a good one. I think it's a matter of how much time do you want me to spend on your event, and how much time do you think I need to spend on your event? Like if you have 20 grand, that's great. It actually is a very significant amount of money for all of us. I would not like that's a fucking lot of money.
Yeah.
But I can give you guidance. It's almost like a consultation at that point. I could do that for them, like help them, guide them, and then work the day of. I'm not gonna like maybe it's not like full service. It's almost like we're guiding. We're not gonna like manage every vendor, but we'll give them suggestions, right? But I think that could be, you're also like maybe give me other business revenue options.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
right. But I'm saying there are definitely ways, because I have friends where I live that hire me for things, and I don't charge them what I charge, and they don't spend what my clients usually spend, you know?
So that kind of brings me into the next, topic I want to kind of mention to you. So I know you're mentioning that like couples should still reach out. They should still inquire.
Absolutely. Yep.
And, for you, you're actually considering doing your own podcast.
What?
Yeah. So, it's a whole nother avenue to your business.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious, and I'm sure all of our audience is curious. Kind of tell us a
We
little
think
bit
they
about.
are, but I don't know. I don't know.
However, I don't know if you've done this before, but as we both learned, this is a lot more work than you would think.
It's a lot. It was a full day.
So tell us a little bit more about your podcast.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to do this for a long time. And funny story, I used to record myself like doing radio shows, like when I was like 7, 8, maybe, like those rectangular recorders.
Oh yeah, like to
We
like
all had
cassette
one.
tape, like yeah.
I would record music, and then I would record myself talking. I used to listen to Q102.
Oh hell yeah,
Valerie Knight. I don't know, like that the fucking name stands out to me because like that was it was pivotal to me. Like that just a radio host, their voice, everything.
I was Z100.
Z100.
I don't know what that is.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Elvis Duran in the morning?
Yes. I listen to him now.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Is this racist? I text as like a Power 99 guy.
Power 90. Yo, you guys hear this? This is my co-host.
Okay, but also I want my like entrance song to be like Kendrick Lamar. Just gonna say.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, but it was just like we kind of reflect on that when we talked the other day, but it's just something that I've always wanted to do. Literally for like the last 5-6 years, it's more of like, and ever since I would do like lives with my friends on Instagram and stuff, and it was obviously people liked what we had to say because it was more of it was almost like we were talking to each other, having a fun conversation over drinks.
Sounds familiar,
right?
So kind of tell us.
Cheers. But
So kind of tell us the dynamic of what the podcast is going to look like.
Obviously we want it to be different. I think it's more of bringing on guests, maybe clients who have either been married or maybe about to be married, or maybe have an influential presence in the universe. But then also maybe bring on another influential wedding industry person that has a great personality that wants to give their honest take, to this industry and even just the world in general. And then in the meantime, we would do it at various restaurant locations or cafes or.
That's cool.
So we would essentially, we're promoting where we're at, the places that I love to eat at the most, and the places that I think are most influential to do smaller gatherings at. And also that's another asset is like, we don't want the large weddings anymore. We want, or not even anymore, we do want large weddings, but I think there's more innovative and unique ways to get married these days. And it could be at the second floor of a restaurant. It could be in a park. It could be a smaller, intimate event, but still luxury, it's just more unique and tailored to them.
So Meg, when do you expect for people to hear this podcast? Because I'm sure from your explanation, I mean, this sounds like a really, really cool podcast. So when are they expecting to hear about this?
So I planned on, because March and like St. Patty's Day, that's like a cool point for us in our business and like our birthday, I guess you'd say. I plan on launching it by St. Patty's Day.
I'm so excited to hear
There
that.
needs to be some integration of like Jameson and Guinness in
100%.
some way.
Leave it to Simon for the drink portion.
Well, like, hey man, I'm looking for like, I'm thinking sponsorships and thinking.
There we go. There we go.
100%. Hey, Jameson.
Hey guys.
So as we are sort of wrapping up this podcast,
Yes.
at the end of each episode, Simon and I like to do a hot button topic.
Happen.
So this week,
we get to ask you.
we get to ask you.
Are you
not on
saving
the
the
hot
worst
seat
for
this
last?
week.
Wait, are we saving the worst
No,
for
it's
last?
not the worst.
All right.
It's something actually we kind of talked about a little bit, but we want the most unfiltered point of view for this topic. Are you ready?
I want you to tell us what are the things that photographers do on wedding days more often than not that drive you fucking nuts.
I have two things.
Okay,
Yeah.
go for it.
It was probably a couple years ago. I knew who the photographer was. Also, they physically weren't present themselves. It's more of like people that worked for them. Obviously, at one of the wedding factories in Philadelphia, like one of the ballrooms.
I have all these names in my head right now. That
Yeah.
I can burn.
Right.
Okay.
So I heard them coming in to the reception space. I was still like putting finishing touches. I wasn't planning at this point. It was just
It was just, yeah.
event design. I was waiting though for my clients though to come back and for me to do like a a reveal. I will say it was at the Bellevue. I'm going to say that right now. You don't have to bleep that out. It was at the Bellevue
I
Hotel.
mean, the venue has
nothing-
nothing to do with it, I feel
but
like.
I want everyone.
The Bellevue was new.
I want everyone to have like an imagery, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Isn't that new? Am I bugging?
No, it's not new.
I don't know.
It was just under new management now.
New management.
So at that point, and you can leave that in. Anyway, so I was there. These photographers come in and they don't realize that I'm there and they don't realize who I am, nor do they give a fucking shit who I am or my team. And they're like moving menus and chargers and like chairs.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, can you please? I was like, I went up to them like, can you please stop fucking doing that? Like, I didn't curse them, but I'm like,
Were they moving them to like, because they think this is
I don't know.
better to get a shot?
I
Or
guess
just-
no, it was like, I don't know what the fuck. It wasn't helping. I can just tell you right now.
Was it before the bride and groom
Yeah,
saw it?
before, but it was
Okay.
before, like, but also their photos, and like they didn't even care to like converse or even figure. Number one, figure out who is planning or designing this event, right? They might know who the florist is, bullshit, whatever, but like, who's curating and making this happen? Who made all that's happening that you're standing in right at this time, right? Not the fucking venue. I can tell you right now. So, and then at the same time, why aren't we conversing with those people prior to the event to make sure that we know who these people are?
Right.
And also, because that makes
I'm
it
happy you're saying this because immediately I'm like,
makes it a better event for everybody.
Wait, Simon, have you done this?
no, I'm saying that like the thing, the point she's making about, like know who the vendors are, know who's doing what, like that's
Just
like,
synergy,
you're
right?
triggered
I'm
me.
all
Okay.
about synergy.
right.
Right?
It's
Sure.
the basic thing that we've talked about on the show before. That's like when the vendor team works together,
Yeah.
everything is better. So knowing who those vendors are is like
Right.
step one.
And it's not even about them not knowing who I am. I don't care about that. But
Right.
but doing your research to know who you're working with that day. That's all.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
period.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay, then you would find out who that we are, hopefully. But like, but it's just that was really infuriating, and they didn't even care. And I said to them nicely, I was like, "Can we just not like? Do you need me to adjust anything? Like, let me know." I didn't even announce who I was. I could have been all the fucking help in the world, and it didn't matter. I just didn't it was just the audacity. That's all.
That
you
makes
know.
sense.
I love it.
My last thought.
Yes, we're ready for number 2.
No, this is. Have you watched this show before? He asked the question and I go off. Do you think the 1 minute of me talking is all I say?
I know, but I have to be very careful with this one.
No,
So-
you don't have to be.
No,
Go
all
ahead.
right,
You
that's
do
fine.
not have to be
Good.
careful.
So, a wedding, we want to hire, I want my clients to have like the best of the best and like we entertain, photographers who I think are really great from what I've seen afar and who we all call elite. And we all like fucking bow down to these people, at these conferences and shit. And I fell for it once. I could say it's the only time I ever fucking fell for it.
I love this take so much. Yeah.
They appear very well manicured, right? And actually, they actually are very, very talented. I'm not even gonna lie. And actually, I love the promotion they have across their people that have worked for them, and they support the people that work for them as well. Like as far as like an image, like this person shot this person shot this. Great. So engagement shoot was great. got pictures back, amazing. And then we come down to the wedding. We're planning. It's a very large production. It's probably the biggest I ever had in my lifetime. And when it comes down to the wedding day, I just felt that I don't fucking wear like these clothes during the day when I'm planning. I'm a fucking hot mess. I'm sweaty. I don't get changed literally until maybe like a half hour or 45 minutes before the ceremony happens. And then it's like a best effort, you know.
Which is crazy because we kind of talked about this in one of our episodes.
Well, it's also different from our side of things where
Sure.
we're a little more, it's not that you're not client facing, but we're more
in the client's face.
Yeah.
From the beginning, literally from the beginning.
I think for us, our appearance to the client is different than
Absolutely
your appearance to the client. Whereas
where like they've seen us like through.
Sure.
yeah. And I think that
they understand what she's wearing more versus what we would wear.
Correct. And you're changing.
I love that podcast.
And you're changing like guest facing, like basically back of house to front of house.
We want to be presentable to your guests, not to our client, which is 100%. Funny, but it's like that's what we're there for.
But that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Even when we changed to that point, when I changed into what I'm changing into, it's still not going to be a fucking designer outfit. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be, best yet, it's probably from fucking Target, like a suit set or like a vest set. But it looks
Target,
fucking good. I fucking love Target. I love it. But I just felt this, and I'm really good at my intuition. I'm really good at like my awareness of my feelings with people. And I don't care if this sounds weird or like, but my gut has never been wrong ever in my life. And I think when I feel that someone's either like not judging, but maybe like distancing themselves, they just don't associate really well with that person.
Yeah.
Like if I have a photographer with me that day, we're fucking best fucking friends. They're actually looking to me to see like what I value in a shot or what I think is a good shot, or because I do have that experience. And also maybe it takes that person to understand that I do have that ability to do, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe they didn't take the time. Like it's a whole other level. But then it goes beyond the fucking wedding day. Okay, it's about not fucking posting what we did that was fucking magical. Okay.
Right.
When I say magical, when I say that everyone else in the fucking universe has posted this event, but the fucking photographer themselves, I have a fucking problem with that. And I'm just saying because
I see where you're trying to go with this.
If you have an issue with me or something about the fucking event, or if you have something secret planned that I don't know about, maybe I'm just like sleeping under a fucking rock and you got some great plans later.
Do you think that's the trend with a lot of these luxury photographers?
Hold on, like they didn't post that wedding, but the next weekend they post the most like basic. I'm not gonna say basic. It was beautiful, but it was great.
I am going to play very much devil's advocate.
I need this back. I need it.
Do I want to give you more drink?
Also, this hot
before I call you out on this,
it's okay.
It's fine. Well, it's
a good hot take.
And maybe this will be a double episode. You know, the posting thing. And I'm going to say this because I am terrible at it. It's that.
Oh, I have more though. I have more to this story.
I want to jump in here because I feel the need to defend. I feel the need to defend.
No, that's good. I think keep that feeling of defensiveness for me and for all of us in solidarity. Okay.
That's the whole reason we chose this topic.
And then let me add to that defensiveness for us. Okay. I just really want to make sure everyone understands what is going on right now in this industry. There shouldn't be this separation between elite and not.
But don't you think someone who is wanting to plan a wedding for $7,000 versus you who might want to plan it for $50,000, don't you think that there's a discrepancy in like what you think they're worth versus what you're worth?
No.
So you think we're both equal? We're both in the same like playing field?
I think we both have our own different personalities and abilities.
I think that the whole posting weddings thing as a photographer, I'm just literally talking from my perspective here, is that first of all, I'm terrible at posting. So there's step one. Well, so take this with a grain of salt. But when I go through, like, this is a perfect example. I'm going through this right now, is that I fell off our social really bad this year because I've missed so many. I'm going down my list of weddings that I've shot, trying not to skip anybody.
I know.
And trying to give each wedding its due diligence.
You're overwhelming yourself, though. Don't do that.
So what's your point compared to Meghan's? What do you?
My point is that I have definitely accidentally, in the past, not anymore, but in the past, tagging's different. Fuck that. tag everybody. But posted a wedding and then forgot to post a wedding and then posted the next one. And then I realized, oh, I forgot to post this.
No, but it gets worse.
Megan's more talking about like day of.
But it gets way worse. So there's a difference. There's a difference with them not just casually posting the wedding that we did together, right? Okay, that's cool, amazing. But then brides or someone approached them about the engagement shoot because I curated with my clients and I was there the whole time. I was directing it. I was like, I made it all happen. I told her how she should dress. I had this whole like Princess Diana 90s vibe, high-waisted, like baseball cap, just t-shirt, jeans, and then she changed later into a nice outfit and stuff. So they were also interviewed from a publication about the engagement shoot, and the person who didn't even shoot the fucking thing claimed to say how she produced the fucking engagement shoot without even crediting me at all.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I know who this is now.
So I do, and I'm sorry, I do have a problem with that. And I don't care if it sounds petty or whatever. The whole thing was stupid and I don't get it. And that wedding was just fucking magnificent. And it could have been great for everybody if we just promoted all the vendors that contributed to that fucking wedding, because you just wanted to take credit for yourself or just fucking hide it because you felt people weren't good enough for you in your fucking social market.
But to play devil's advocate, did you get access to the photos?
Of course.
Why not then just worry about it for yourself and like post whatever you could?
I do post. And do they repost? No.
But why do you care if the photographer reposts?
Did they have a big reach?
But I felt that they did have a big market. And that's the thing. Like I still respect their market. And if we do anything with this, whether everyone thinks I'm talking shit or not, I still respect their hustle and their ability to make themselves a name.
Yeah.
And they're still fucking amazing photographers.
Sure.
But what was it that you had to not include my business into your world?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's tough. I feel like, do we really blame the photographer? I mean, I know your eyebrows are raised, but this is a very hot topic, and I love it.
But how do we not?
It's a controversial topic. It really is.
But hold on, I want to hear what you had to say though as a photographer. Like, why wouldn't you blame the fucking photographer then?
Because I'll be honest, maybe she didn't like you. And that's what it comes down to, right? Maybe she just really didn't like you as a person and she was being spiteful. A lot of photographers do that. They don't post other vendors. And other vendors do the same thing. They don't post photographers.
Yeah.
They just post the work because maybe they didn't like the person they worked with. And there's no obligation. It's just a courtesy.
And I think one thing to say to that point is that I like to assume positive intent, which is like, if any of you work for Apple, you know exactly what I just said. I would say a lot of times when I have that opinion of someone, I'm like, this guy's an asshole. And I'm like, yeah, all right, fine. But sometimes you're right too. Sometimes your gut instinct of this person is being spiteful might be right. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, maybe this person just didn't like you and was literally being spiteful. And I think that sucks. But, our initial question, hot button topic of like, what do photographers do that piss you off? Like, yeah, I would be really fucking pissed off too.
Yeah.
Well, yes. And I think that it's okay if the person doesn't like me, that's fine. But as far as like my thought process, when I'm on my own and by myself and I see these things and I'm witnessing, our stuff not being posted, I just think when it's intentional and it's beautiful though, what does it hurt you to not post that? When it's such a beautiful event and such a beautifully like calibrated vendors, like the vendors were so wonderful. Like, why hurt them? We're hurting the entire team when you do that. If you don't just like me, that's fine. But like, don't do that because you're just being spiteful. Because I'm saying, if it wasn't as beautiful as it was, fucking bet. Like, don't post it. But right now, it was unpostable. Okay, I'm sorry, it was unfucking postable. The fact that it's not on their grid right now is fucking a shameful act.
At the end of the day, I think what Megan's saying is, if you're a vendor and you have an issue with another vendor, put that aside when it comes to the work you guys created. Still post it, still create the art together.
But also maybe reevaluate what your issues are.
And to put a point on it, isn't this all about the couple? when it comes down to it.
It's all subjective.
It's
all subjective.
all subjective.
On that note, what do you think, Simon? This probably was one of the best episodes. Yeah.
Honestly, I was nervous
We appreciate
fucking
you.
wreck, but thank you so much.
That's what the booze is for. We're good. That's how we
We're
roll
good.
here.
We're good.
Definitely tune into Megan's podcast coming out St. Patrick's Day ish.
St. Patty's Day.
Let's go. I'm gonna do a shot of Jameson in celebration of that.
Solidarity.
I love it. And it's
On that
always
note,
fun. Ant's having a heart attack right now.
I'm not. This episode has been 25 hours. So
All right, wait.
on that note, episode 8 will be the next episode followed. And Simon and I have a amazing episode planned for you guys for that one. So thanks again, Megan.
Thank
this
you.
is amazing. And
Thank you.
In the
Simon's still going.
No,
Look,
in the
this
respect,
guy's still going.
the
I'm trying to
respect
end
of
the
how we end this
episode.
podcast, you gotta look at the camera and go, peace.
Peace.
Peace out.